I was just laughing at I was just laughing at my message that I sent you this morning, and I was looking for different ways to say hello. So I think I said it in Japanese.
You did. You said konnichiwa to me this morning. Konnichiwa to everyone joining us for episode 20 of A Measure of Marketing, all about you, answering your questions, offering some direction, and helping you overcome the marketing challenges that you've highlighted to us. We've got quite a few. I
enjoy doing this. I think it is. I find myself so funny sometimes. I enjoyed doing this because I felt like we were practicing marketing as we're creating marketing content as well. Like asking your audience what problems that they have and how we can help them, and then
user-generated content. Yes.
So. Yes. And we've got some very good questions as well, which I haven't prepped any answers for, so we're going to see.
No, I haven't read them all either. I thought that would be more fun to take them as they come.
Freestyle it. Okay, let's go. So first 3 questions came in from a new friend, Lydia Hawkridge. So Lydia and I have met at networking and through a community, female business community called Reset Focus. Lydia does operational strategy work, efficiency work with businesses. And her first question was, how do you repurpose content without being repetitive and boring? And part B, what does repurposing actually mean?
All right.
Do you want to
go? How do you repurpose content without being repetitive and boring? Well, for me, there's 2 ways of repurposing content. There's repurposing content through your channels and highlighting the content more than once. So you're repurposing what you've written. And then there's repurposing the actual content in different formats. And that, to me, is the best way of putting your content out there, because people will absorb the content in different ways. So I think most clients think it's repetitive and boring to keep saying the same thing, but actually it isn't. And this is the beauty of what we call integrated marketing, where you integrate your channels and your content so that you deliver the piece or the messaging in different ways. So to repurpose for me is taking a blog post of, say, 800,000 words and putting it out there as a blog post, and you can get 2 or 3 social posts out of that one blog post. You can get a dedicated email, you can get a follow-up email, you can also get a blog post out of it as well. So you've got the channels of email and social kind of repurposing that messaging. And then you've also got the content itself, that if this was one blog post, that you can pull a vlog post out of it. You can also create a Q&A out of it. You could also create a few quotes that are discussion starters for other channels. So I think when you start to take the content and map that with the channels, the repurposing kind of starts to get a little bit broader. So for me, repurposing is on 2 different levels. What about you?
Yes, yeah, I totally agree with that. And it almost, the repurposing process makes you way more efficient, way more creative. And I feel like it just gives you license to just try different things as well. And also seeing if the story, the topic, the advice that you're giving out, whatever the actual information is, actually how do people best receive it? Because if you was teaching someone how to write a blog post, them reading it and having a step-by-step might be better in a blog post of itself, or you physically showing them the back end of a website. That's a great example because people learn in different ways, are going to soak up information in different ways, right? The bit about being repetitive and boring, it's actually quite ironic because I met Lydia for coffee last week, and we had this conversation. I was talking about my services, and I actually said the words, I think I need to be talking about them more. And she said, I don't think I know what services you offer. And I watch all of your Instagram stuff. And I was like, okay, I need to keep repeating it way more than what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And that's the perfect example there, is that people don't see it as repetitive and boring. It's us as business owners, we get bored of ourselves a little bit more than actually what the audience does. So yeah, full license to go repeat all the time.
Yeah. And I think it's reassuring to know you can do that, because your buying audience, your buyers, whoever's looking for your services or what you do, they're not just going to see one social post and decide off the back of that they want to go ahead and work with you or to hire you. So you're almost providing them with 3, 4, 5, 6 reasons each time when they see those posts. And they may not see all 6 of those posts, or they may not see every email or every press release or every blog post or vlog post. So you're just reinforcing them as they go along that journey. So yeah, I agree with you. Full on license to go for it.
Sure. I have another example as well. I don't know if you've heard of Leah Turner. She's got a membership, the Holt. She actually shared on her Instagram stories last week to say, like, no matter like the size of her membership, like amazing. She actually asked her audience if they knew what the Holt was, and the majority of them were like, I've heard of it, but I don't know what it is. And she's like, I talk about it all the time and they still don't know. So that was another thing for me where I was like, if people don't know what that is, like, man, I've got to really like up the game here and keep talking about what I offer. Not obviously in competition, but just like whoa, like she's been going time, she's very well known, and people still can't tell her what she offers. So yeah, absolutely go for it is the answer on the repetition. Something that we've just been talking about. Next question: how important is a blog to a website? It feels old school, but I know it's important for SEO. How important is a blog? I don't think we need to call it a blog, but I think that's why it feels a bit old school. But let's call it content on your website. How important is it for SEO?
I think it totally depends on your business and what you offer. But if you aren't using content in any way to attract your audience, and this idea of pull marketing, of pulling in the inquiries, you're not really doing yourself any favors. And this is where this idea of blog or news or an area, as you say, a repository or a portfolio of content, whatever you want to call it, as you say, will pull people to your site to learn more about what you do. And when you start indexing that with Google, any questions that people have, any queries that they have that come back to your website off the back of that, means you're not paying, you're doing that all yourself. That's free, apart from your own time. You're not paying for that. That's organic content marketing. So why wouldn't you do it? Why wouldn't you want to draw your audience to you? So I think, what was Lydia's question? That she said it sounded old-fashioned.
How important is a blog to a website? It feels old school.
Old school. It's never gone away. I think what's happened is there's somewhat of a reliance or an excitement, I think, for people to use social media channels only. And yes, LinkedIn has a blog as such that you can use that's indexed by Google, as is all of LinkedIn's posts, as was Twitter, X. There is an indexing that happens. But I think people forget about the value of pulling people back to your own site, that shop window. You can't just rely on those channels or on email to convince someone or to reassure them that you're the right business for them or the right offering. So yeah, maybe old school, but to me, it's still an important part of marketing. And it makes me question when people don't have one, why they don't, or why they believe they don't need it. And it could be something really niche, like they attract their audience in a different way, that maybe event marketing, be it trade shows or industry events, is more their thing.
Yeah.
But when it's a free piece of marketing that you can do online and offline, why would you not have a blog?
Yeah, for sure. And I really see it as, so I do quite a bit of work on my clients' websites. So you've got your pages, obviously, which need to have SEO. They're still classed as content, but your blog or your resources, your articles, whatever you want to call them, I see them as like additions to your pages. So you might only need 4 pages, which gives you potentially 4 opportunities to cover off some keywords, whereas your blog allowed you to cover off maybe 10 extra phrases or keywords that your audience is going to ask or going to Google, which will filter you to them. However, blogs, I think the old schoolness comes from having to write blogs constantly. I don't believe it's about that, because it's not about the amount of content that you've got on your website. It's about the specific, relatable content that you've got on your website. I saw something, I think it was on Instagram again. I think my whole life is on Instagram. It said if it was about the quantity of blogs, then the highest ranking web pages will always be Reddit. It'll always be a blog site, but it's not. It's about Google searches for that relatability and like specifics of what you're talking about in relation to service pages and everything else. So it's not about quantity, it's definitely about quality when you think of blogs. Yes, that are my thoughts on that one. Next question. Threads. Is it an emerging channel, or should I sack it off? There's too many channels. I hear ya.
There's a lot of channels.
I'm enjoying Threads though at the minute.
Yeah, you've been doing some short and sharp, direct advice, haven't you? I have got a Threads account, and I started with it. Can't remember. I was a bit late to the game with it, and I in the end deleted my posts, and I've just got the channel there. It's saved to the name. There are so many channels. Blue Sky now, as well as all the usuals. People spread themselves too thinly. They feel they need to be on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Blue Sky, because they might be missing out, or there might be an audience there. Dip your toe, but if you're not getting any bites, why dilute your own time, and why spread yourself so thinly that you can't keep on top of it?
The thing is, though, to get bites, you need to give it time.
Yep, I get that. I do get that.
But I try and say, like, think of it, like, flip your perspective on social media. So it's always about where your customer is first, right? Like, and lead with one. So I always lead with LinkedIn. Like, if I could only choose one, I would choose that. And that's where I invest my time and my content starts there. Then Instagram, I translate the LinkedIn posts into my Instagram stuff. Sometimes it's the other way around. Like I get an Instagram idea and I flip it into LinkedIn. Threads for me, although I've started it, it is probably just a way for me to just get out some tension.
You just release. It's like free therapy, isn't it? Just let it out.
Like bam, 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 and I'll just smash something out there, like 4 in a row, and just see what happens. Like, it's a little bit of a test and learn. I don't get too caught up in it. And and it's new. And also with threads at the minute, I'm finding you can follow some pretty high profile people and they haven't got a lot of engagement on it. So it's almost like everyone started at a base level.
Yeah.
Everyone's fresh to it. So let's just see what happens. But if you are approaching it as, there's just so much to do, then you're not doing it right. Like you've got to be comfortable with your choice and which platforms you are using.
Yeah.
But I definitely advocate leading with one, having a secondary, and I'm just testing a third because it's a different,
yeah. Yeah, I agree. I'm exactly the same. LinkedIn's my primary, and then Instagram shows off more my personality more so than my marketing content. And then my third that I'm dabbling with is Blue Sky. And I was dabbling with Threads. And I think it was hard for people to get their heads around with Threads that Meta or Insta was coming up with this equivalent to Twitter or X. And now Blue Sky's come along. I think Threads has taken a back seat because people have seen Blue Sky's, you know, the Twitter that it was before, and they've kind of jumped on that. So that's where I'm dabbling. But again, I don't think it's necessarily going to take over from, you know, the beast that is LinkedIn. But it's worth a dabble. But I certainly am not trying to keep up with Facebook as well as X, as well as Threads, because unless you've got the right content for all of that, you are going to bog yourself down and get stressed in trying to create content or repurpose, as we say, for the different channels in a certain way that, you know, unless you pay for a specific platform to help you do that, you're going to be pulling your hair out. As a small business owner, you haven't got time to do that. You're better focused, you know, on the inquiries and the leads. So,
and if you flip it as well, you have choice. Like you have, it's choice. It's not, you don't need to see it as overwhelming. It is, okay, my audience is on TikTok, so I'm just going to focus on that. Like that's it. Like be confident in the fact that you've done the research at your customer.
Don't knee jerk it. You don't have to just be everywhere because you're worried.
So definitely lead with one. But for me, it's like lead with one social platform, have that secondary, and then pay more attention to your website and pay more attention to meeting people
and creating content that actually is a quality rather than just for the sake of populating your social channels.
And have a bit of fun with it as well. Like I'm into personal branding, and like allow that to come through. Don't overthink it all too much either. Like find a schedule that works for you, but it can't be once a month. Like it's got to be
consistent,
a couple of times a week at least to post. But also like bring yourself into it. Don't overthink all of the words, all of the stuff, because it's disappeared within a fraction of it.
That's the thing, isn't it?
Cool. Next question.
Nice questions, Lydia. I like them.
Yeah, they were good questions. Thanks, Lydia. Hope that's helpful as well. Next question. How much does a marketing consultant cost?
Ooh, I know who this has come from. This has come from my mum, Lorraine. I don't know why she's asked this, but she did ask. I remember her submitting it and saying if she was starting out and needing support, how much should she budget for one of us to help her?
I mean, it's that we're always going to get asked, so it's a popular question.
It is, and I think it always varies depending on the sort of support that you want. And I know that there are consultants out there who just focus on strategy. And then I know that there are other marketers who are more freelance who focus on the social media side. And I think, you know, depending on whether you want to be a generalist or whether you want to be quite niche or quite specific, you could charge in upwards of £750 a day just focusing on strategy and kind of, you know, more of the management consultant of working with the business owner directly. Or you could be the social media coordinator who charges £250, £300 a day, because all of that strategic work, the campaign management, the campaign planning is kind of done. You can pop in and out of an organization, you can do what you need to do and you can step back. My day rate is kind of more in the middle of those two because I do both. And I'm very aware that my clients can't necessarily afford 750, although I have charged that in the past for certain clients who have not wanted anything else. And actually my decision making and my advice has literally been to make or break their business moving forward. So, but yeah, my clients can't necessarily afford that. So you have to price yourself effectively for what people can pay. So yeah, if you were starting out and needing, you know, it depends what sort of help you would want, but that would be my range that you want to consider.
Yeah, and I think, and as well, like certain marketing people they work off packages. I do to some degree, but have like a bespoke option, and I'll tailor what somebody needs according to time, the work, sometimes their budget as well.
Yeah.
And also you will find that marketing people, even if they do similar, this is something for us as business owners. They might have the same amount of experience, but they've started out in their business and they're in the early days, so they'll charge less. Whereas that's psychology, isn't it? As when you start out, you are working out what to charge, so they will come in a little bit cheaper. Whereas someone that's had their own business and got the corporate experience might be more expensive further down the line because they've put their prices up over time. Like a lot of things vary. So choosing someone much down to knowing the person and meshing well with the person, I think.
And it's the experience that you're paying for, really. It's knowing what to do when it goes wrong, or how to advise someone not to do it because they know how you can do it wrong, so don't do it that way. And I've had it with clients before who may have started with me for kind of like 12 months, 18 months. And then actually they found that they can get more bang for their buck moving to a marketing agency. So they're kind of set up and they're ready and they can hand over that strategy piece and the branding side. And you'll find a marketing agency can probably cost a little bit less per annum or per month than what you or I or another consultant may charge as a generalist. But what you're getting, you're tapping into a team of a social media coordinator, a campaign planner, paid ads, you know, if you wanted to go down that route, the graphic designer. But you may not get that close contact with them, but you're, you know, as for their retainer, you're getting a team that can support you.
Yeah, like we start it off, and then as it gets traction, the business is getting more money, more turnover, then you go bigger, like with it.
Yeah.
And yeah. A question from some Instagram polls. What does your own marketing strategy look like, Hayley?
I do have one, and it's updated for 2025. I would like to add. It follows a similar pattern to anybody else's marketing strategy. The headlines, the headings, the structure is very similar, and you'll find that with any marketing strategy that you look at with the content within it is always very different depending on the business. So mine has the vision, mission, and my own purpose behind Maisie Marketing. It's got my target audience, their needs. It's got primary market, secondary market. I've got a SWOT analysis in there. I've then got the different marketing strategies that I use. I've got business objectives. So I actually sat down and worked out what I wanted to achieve this year, and then marketing objectives from that. And I've got targets as well. I've even got a bit about budget and how much I'm happy to spend on like Canva Premium, or how much I'm happy to spend on my website. I've got my marketing mix in there as well, so the different channels that I use and the platforms and partner organizations and everything else. So it's full, it's there, and every now and again I do revert and check that I'm keeping up with it, because my targets are kind of dated as well, so there's certain things I want to achieve by a certain quarter. But I didn't do one for myself probably until 2-3 years ago, because I didn't actually know my business well enough. And And this is, you know, what you always find. You start off and you almost have to find who your audience is and tweak it and kind of hone in. Because when I started, all my strategy was to showcase how I help people, because it's all I wanted to do was help them with their marketing. And now it's a little bit different, it's a bit more refined.
Yeah, that's very good. I like that you've got all that detail. Mine's changed. I'm only like 2 years in at the end of this month. But yeah, mine's changed like quite a lot from when I started, to be honest. I still use the same channels, but I would say my marketing strategy really now is more around personal branding. So I'm really trying to spend time looking at how I actually do things to make sure that that comes across in my content. And my services changed at Christmas. So yeah, that has changed my marketing strategy way more as well. The audience, has changed slightly. So I was working with some bigger corporates when I first started out, and then decided actually I probably want to do less of that. I want to work with more SMEs and solo entrepreneurs. So my marketing's gone more down to be a strategist, an educator, and then a content creator if people need that hands-on approach. So I've like repositioned myself at Christmas time. So
yeah, so that's why the personal branding strategy has kind of come about, because you've pivoted, for a better word, and changed your approach.
So and the education side to it, like I spent quite a lot of time at the end of last year really looking at what I'd achieved the year before in my first year, and like what I liked, what I didn't like. So and also what values I have as an individual, and that the education of understanding business and marketing was really important to me, and the education of self as well. So that's switched up how I approach my marketing now. So 2 different approaches there, I'd say, between them, isn't there? Which it feels good, because it just shows that it's down to mission, purpose, values at the end of the day, isn't it? And the core of the business owner, and where you want things. But like platforms, for me, they stay the same. Like there's only so many platforms, right? Like I know there's a list, but the depth of the marketing strategy actually comes from what you want to achieve, who you're about, what your purpose is, executing the business, and then your messaging, the way that you then talk about it, and the types of content that you use, and your audience, obviously.
Might be an idea for a future episode to share our vision, mission, and purpose statements, so people can see the difference in the similarities in them and how they're structured, but also to give other people an example of what they should look like, kind of best practice, like, okay, this is what you're aiming for and why. Because otherwise, if you don't know, you don't know. You could be creating something that actually isn't a mission statement at all.
Yes, that would be a good one. I will write that down on our list.
Write it down. What you are.
And the last question from the lovely Kim Ellis, who's going to be joining us. Yay! I'm excited for that. How do I stop the intrusive thoughts to say, can I swear on this podcast?
Yeah, you go for it.
Sod it to the LinkedIn algorithm and post several times a day. She's asking for a friend. Seriously though, I see people doing multiple posts and it doesn't seem to hurt their reach. Multiple posting on LinkedIn.
I had this conversation yesterday with a LinkedIn specialist, actually. The thing is, you don't know if it's harming someone else's reach unless you know their stats. And I know Kim well. She runs L&D Free Spirits. It's a small business dedicated to self-employed freelance peeps in the learning and development industry. And she has got so much content, and she's got so much to share to be able to support all these people. And my advice to her and to every client is you only need to post at most once on LinkedIn per day, because otherwise the algorithm is going to depurpose or depreciate any other posts that you do. And I've read about this and I keep on top of it, and I kind of have to sit on my hands, because for me, there is so much that I want to share and put out there per day, or I see other people's and I want to reshare it. My advice to Kim, when she posted this as a comment on LinkedIn, I said, well, sometimes just test it and see, give it a week or so and see whether or not it does harm your reach, or you're noticing that some of your posts don't get as much engagement because they're not as visible. And I do see it with some people that they post and post and post, and they don't really get much from doing so. So I aim not to post more than once a day, but I focus on comments. And the lady that I was chatting to yesterday, you know, we both agreed that comments actually can provide you with more visibility and engagement than a post can. And this is why LinkedIn has now started to put the impression count on your comments to encourage you to do that. Kind of a bit of a gamification thing, I think. So you start to see, oh, well, that comment actually is more quality and more worthwhile than the post that I put out for the third time today.
Yes.
So that's my view.
I spoke to a LinkedIn person, I forget his name now, you put me in touch with, and he did actually say if you post a second time, it almost like pauses your first post, doesn't it?
Yeah, slumps.
But I have definitely tested posting every day versus 3 times a week, and it does help for sure, obviously. And I've also I am testing posting at a different time of the day. So I would automatically just post at 9 a.m. I don't know why, like schedule my posting. And then I've changed it to 6 a.m. And I'm seeing different people comment and different impressions coming in.
And I try throughout the week to do early morning, later morning, lunchtime, afternoon. So I never have more than one post out there within any 24-hour period to not affect my visibility or reach. But sometimes it doesn't always work like that. When you're trying to connect or synchronize your company page with your reshares, or trying to establish more visibility from one to the next by utilizing both profiles and company profiles, it can get really confusing, and I find it really overwhelming sometimes, and I just have to take a break from it and think I cannot manage this with an inch of its arse as much as I'd like to. I just have to go with it. And so that's why I kind of hit the point, for Kim, where I said, oh, just see what happens, because I'm hitting that point now as well. But when I did start doing all the resharing and everything else, it didn't necessarily do me any favors. So
the reshare, apparently you're better just to comment on it than share. What else have I learned recently? Video content as well on LinkedIn.
Well, video content's doing me in, because they started off with that kind of in-video feature, especially if you uploaded from your mobile. That was a bit like Instagram, that it was the in-feed video view. And I've read that they're taking that away again now, that it hasn't actually lasted the test of time. So video is still important, but now not as much as what LinkedIn was saying, because they're taking away that feature. So this is why it changes so much, and it irritates me.
Okay, well, I've scheduled a post on video content on LinkedIn being, I'm just going to leave it.
See what happens. It's all about testing.
No, I've scheduled a post to say that LinkedIn favors video content.
It does, but that feature has now gone. So it's like, well, if LinkedIn values some video, why is it now taking away that in-feed video feed embedded?
And this is the moral of the story. Everything changes. Don't worry about
post what you want, when you want. Just go hell for leather. Do it.
Post your dinners.
Yeah, your cat. Mine has not made an appearance today, I'd like to add. She's not been.
Dolly.
Yes, she is barking. I don't know what for, but she's happy.
That is all of our questions. We didn't have any more, did we?
No, I don't think so. No, I think we've covered them all now. It was good. I enjoyed that. It was really different to take on different topics within the half hour, 40 minutes that we've been chatting.
I also have another episode to note down that I was having a conversation with someone and they said, please do one on what's it called? Acronyms and all the buzzwords.
Oh, yeah.
Cover that off.
Yeah, we need to do that. As I always try and break them down when we chat. But there's going to be loads. And you've got a really good blog post on it that would give us a starting point. I know you have.
Have I?
You have, Kelly, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. That relatable, relevant content that I'm about.
You have. Yeah, you've written it. I've read it.
I'll read through that. I'll read it out. That can be another episode. Episode 21 though is going to be fun because we've got a guest on. We haven't had one on since Drew. So it's Christina, and we're going to be talking about phone photography.
Oh, I like this a lot because to give you a bit more confidence that the iPhone, it's the one. Yeah, nice.
I actually, when I worked at the University of Derby, Christina was a student there, but she worked in a team that dealt with media, and they dealt with the content for, I think it was in classroom media, but
yeah. Oh, she knows her stuff then.
She does know her stuff. She's very good.
I look forward to that.
Excited for that one.
Yay. Okay.
See you.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Goodbye.
See ya.